Sometimes the quietest people carry the loudest power, not because they have nothing to say, but because they've learned that silence protects what matters. In a world where everyone's oversharing, keeping parts of your life private isn't secrecy, it's strength. This is your reminder. Don't let people know too much about you. Silence protects strength because it gives you control over your energy, your emotions, and your focus. In silence, you find yourself. You find what truly matters, what deserves your time, and what drains it. People often misunderstand silence. They see it as weakness or uncertainty. But silence is one of the greatest shields a person can carry. It doesn't mean you have nothing to say. It means you have learned the value of speaking only when it counts. When you choose silence over unnecessary words, you build an inner foundation that others cannot shake. You become grounded, calm, and observant. You start hearing things you once missed, the truth between the lines, the motives behind smiles, and the lessons hidden in chaos. Silence turns noise into clarity. It helps you move through life with intention instead of reaction. When you talk too much, you give away your power. You allow others to read your thoughts, predict your moves, and manipulate your emotions. But when you stay silent, you stay mysterious. You keep people guessing, and that mystery becomes strength. It's not about being secretive for the sake of it. It's about understanding that not every battle requires your voice. Sometimes your silence speaks louder than confrontation ever could. It says, "I know my worth and I don't need to prove it." That kind of restraint is rare and powerful. It's what separates those who waste energy on noise from those who build empires in peace. Silence also teaches emotional intelligence. It allows you to pause before you react, to feel before you speak. You learn that not every opinion deserves a response, and not every attack deserves your defense. The world will always test your peace. People will provoke you, misunderstand you, and try to pull you into their storms. But silence gives you the power to stand still while the storm passes. It allows you to stay rooted when others lose balance. You begin to understand that silence isn't a retreat, it's strategy. It's the space between impulse and wisdom, between reaction and understanding. When you choose silence, you choose maturity. You choose power over panic, grace over gossip, and dignity over drama. The greatest minds and the strongest souls in history understood this. They knew that silence is not the absence of sound, it's the presence of self-control. It's the inner confidence that doesn't need external validation. When you operate from silence, your energy shifts. You no longer feel the urge to explain, to convince, or to prove. You let your results, your actions, and your peace speak for you. And nothing intimidates a noisy world more than a person who doesn't need to shout to be heard. Silence also protects you from emotional exhaustion. Constantly explaining yourself, defending your choices, or sharing your dreams drains your spiritual and mental energy. Not everyone deserves access to your plans, your pain, or your process. Some things are meant to grow quietly. The more you guard your inner world, the more powerful your outer world becomes. You start to notice how silence attracts peace, and peace attracts strength. In silence, you heal, you think clearly, you connect with the divine and with your purpose. It's in those quiet moments that your strength is refueled, your direction becomes clearer, and your faith deepens. So when you choose silence, you're not avoiding life, you're mastering it. You're choosing to respond with wisdom instead of noise, to protect your energy instead of scattering it, and to build your strength from within instead of seeking it from approval. Silence protects strength because it keeps you anchored in truth while the world spins in confusion. It's the calm within the chaos, the pause before power, the space where real strength is reborn. Not everyone deserves access to you, your energy, your story, or your heart. Life becomes lighter when you finally understand that your presence is a privilege, not a public place. Too often, we give pieces of ourselves away to people who haven't earned them. We open doors to hearts that only came to take shelter, not to stay. We share our dreams, our struggles, and our secrets with those who only came to listen, not to understand. And in doing so, we drain ourselves of the energy meant for growth, peace, and purpose. Protecting your access is not selfishness, it's self-respect. You can love people deeply, but still set boundaries that protect your soul. You can be kind, yet still guard the sacred parts of your life from careless hands. The truth is, not everyone who smiles at you has your best interest at heart. Some come close to observe, not to support. Some listen to your pain just to repeat it elsewhere. And some only show up when they need something from you. That's why you must learn to filter access not from bitterness, but from wisdom. You must decide who gets to see your vulnerability, who earns your trust, and who deserves your time. Your life is not an open book for everyone to read. It's a sacred story being written in divine timing. Only those who value your peace, respect your boundaries, and celebrate your growth deserve a seat at your table. When you limit access, you protect your emotional and spiritual energy. Every conversation, every relationship, every exchange either fills you or empties you. And too often, we allow people who drain us to stay just because we fear being alone. But solitude is far more healing than forced connections. You are not obligated to explain your distance, your silence, or your choices. If someone truly values you, they will respect your boundaries without guilt-tripping you for them. Remember, access to your time and energy is earned through consistency, not claimed through familiarity. Just because someone has known you for years doesn't mean they still deserve the same access. People change, you change, and your boundaries must evolve with that growth. When you start protecting your access, you begin to feel peace return to your life. You stop chasing validation, stop over-explaining, and stop allowing negativity to enter through open doors. You learn to value quality over quantity in every relationship. You begin to see that not everyone can walk with you into the next season of your life. Some people are meant to be lessons, not lifelong companions. And holding on to everyone keeps you from rising to where you are meant to be. Protecting your access allows you to focus on those who truly matter, the ones who lift you up, who celebrate your wins, who sit with you in silence when words fail. Those are the souls worth keeping close. Your peace is sacred, your energy is rare, and your time is precious. You cannot afford to give them freely to everyone who knocks on your door. Some people are meant to love you from afar, and that's okay. Boundaries are not walls. They are filters that keep your life clean from unnecessary chaos. The moment you understand this, you stop apologizing for protecting your energy. You realize that your attention is currency, and not everyone deserves to spend it. Limiting access doesn't make you cold, it makes you wise. It's how you preserve your strength, maintain your clarity, and protect your divine path. Because when too many voices have access to your space, you can't hear your own. And when you lose connection with yourself, you lose everything that truly matters. Mystery builds respect because it teaches people that not everything about you is meant to be understood or exposed. When you keep a part of yourself hidden, you create depth, an invisible strength that makes others curious but cautious. In a world that constantly demands openness, mystery becomes your silent power. It's not about manipulation or pride. It's about preserving your dignity. When you stop explaining every move, every feeling, every plan, people begin to look at you differently. They wonder what drives you, what keeps you strong, and how you remain composed when others crumble. That quiet composure creates respect because mystery signals control. It tells the world you know yourself well enough not to need validation. You don't need to announce your worth. You live it quietly, and that speaks louder than any words ever could. When you reveal too much, you give people the chance to define you before you even finish becoming who you are. But when you remain mysterious, you give yourself the space to grow without external noise. People are intrigued by what they can't easily understand. The moment you stop trying to prove or explain yourself, you start holding power over how others perceive you. Mystery makes them pause. It draws them in without you having to chase attention. You become memorable, not because you shout your story, but because you let others sense there's more behind your silence. That's the kind of respect that lasts. It's earned not through exposure, but through restraint. Mystery also protects your emotional and mental balance. When you share everything about your life, your fears, your struggles, your relationships, you give people ammunition they can later use against you. Not everyone who listens cares. Some only collect information to judge or criticize. But when you stay private, no one truly knows your next step. They can assume, they can guess, but they can never control your narrative. That uncertainty keeps your dignity safe. The most powerful people are rarely the loudest. They move quietly, think deeply, and reveal little. They understand that mystery doesn't mean isolation, it means intention. You choose what to share, with whom, and when. That level of self-control earns respect because it reflects discipline. People respect those who don't crave attention. When you carry mystery, you also create boundaries naturally. You don't have to tell people how to treat you. Your silence and composure already do that. Those who value authenticity will approach you with care, while those who seek drama will drift away. Your mystery filters your environment without you saying a single word. It draws the right kind of people, those who appreciate depth, not gossip. Mystery has a way of commanding attention quietly. When you walk into a room with confidence and calm, people notice. They feel that you know something they don't, that you see more than you say. That aura of self-containment demands respect because it represents self-mastery. Mystery also builds respect in relationships. When you give someone access to every thought and feeling, you remove the sense of discovery that keeps interest alive. The most captivating people are those who reveal themselves in layers, who show depth slowly, intentionally. They are not unreadable. They are simply not desperate to be known in a hurry. That approach builds lasting respect because it shows emotional maturity. You know who you are, and you don't rush to be understood. You're not trying to be impressive. You're trying to be real, and realness takes time to unfold. In truth, mystery is not about distance. It's about value. When something is rare, it becomes precious. When something is fully exposed, it loses its wonder. You must remember that your life, your thoughts, and your emotions are valuable. Not everyone should have access to them. Keep some of your silence, some of your dreams, and some of your soul just for yourself. The more mystery you hold, the more respect you earn, not through fear, but through quiet power. Because mystery says, I know who I am and I don't need to explain it to you. And that kind of confidence is impossible to ignore. Oversharing invites judgment, because the more you reveal, the more room you give others to misinterpret, criticize, and redefine your truth. We live in a world where people mistake openness for authenticity and think that sharing every detail of their lives makes them real. But there's a fine line between being genuine and being vulnerable to unnecessary judgment. When you expose too much of yourself, your dreams, your weaknesses, your failures, you give people the power to shape opinions about you that may not even be true. And most of the time, they judge not from understanding, but from projection. Everyone sees your story through the lens of their own pain, jealousy, or limitation. That's why silence and selectiveness are powerful. When you speak less, you control the narrative. When you share less, you protect your peace. Oversharing often comes from a place of loneliness or a deep desire to be seen. You want someone to understand you, to listen, to validate your emotions. But not everyone deserves that level of access. Some people only listen to respond, not to empathize. Some listen out of curiosity, not compassion. And some will use your openness as an opportunity to gossip or to judge. The sad truth is, the more transparent you are with the wrong people, the more misunderstood you'll feel. You think you're building connection, but what you're actually doing is exposing your inner world to people who haven't earned your trust. Real connection doesn't require overexposure, it requires discernment. You don't need to tell your whole story to be real. You just need to live it honestly and let your actions speak. When you overshare, you also lose a sense of mystery and boundaries. You unintentionally allow others to dissect your life like it's open for public opinion. They start to form conclusions about your choices, your character, and your worth. And while they do that, your energy gets consumed by their opinions. You start doubting yourself, replaying conversations, and worrying about how people perceive you. But when you choose silence and privacy, you stay centered. You stop feeding the noise. You realize that your peace is worth more than anyone's approval. Protecting your privacy is not being secretive, it's being wise. It's knowing that your life is too sacred to be open for commentary. There's also a spiritual strength in holding back your words. Not everything you feel needs to be said, and not everything you experience needs to be shared. Some lessons are meant to be kept close to your heart until they mature into wisdom. Oversharing interrupts that process. It takes something sacred and turns it into a story for consumption. The moment you tell the world your every move, you open the door for doubt, envy, and interference. People begin to project their fears onto your dreams, and their opinions start clouding your clarity. You may begin to second-guess your path simply because someone didn't understand it. That's how oversharing steals your peace and weakens your confidence. Oversharing also blurs emotional boundaries. You start giving people emotional access they haven't earned, and that's when disappointment follows. Not everyone who listens to your pain can hold it with grace. Some will minimize it, some will judge it, and some will use it against you later. The strongest people are not those who shout their struggles to the world. They're the ones who heal in silence, who grow in private, and who emerge stronger without an audience. Keeping parts of your life private gives you control. It keeps your dignity intact. It allows you to choose who gets to know your truth and when. When you learn to stop oversharing, you start reclaiming your power. You begin to see that your story doesn't need constant explanation. It needs protection. You don't owe anyone details about your healing, your relationships, or your dreams. The more you protect your inner world, the stronger it becomes. Because judgment only has power where permission is given. And when you stop oversharing, you stop giving that permission altogether. Peace loves privacy because tranquility cannot exist in chaos, and chaos often enters through open doors. The more private you become, the more you protect the calm within you. Peace is fragile. It doesn't thrive in environments filled with noise, comparison, or constant exposure. When too many people know too much about your life, you unintentionally invite opinions, expectations, and energy that don't belong to you. Privacy is not isolation, it's protection. It's the boundary that allows your spirit to rest and your mind to breathe. In private spaces, you can think clearly, feel deeply, and make decisions that align with your true self, not the version of you that others project or expect. When you live publicly, you live under pressure. Every move becomes subject to observation. Every choice becomes a topic for discussion. You begin to measure your worth by how others react instead of how you feel. And slowly, your peace begins to disappear. Privacy breaks that cycle. It removes the need for performance. You no longer have to explain yourself or justify your path. You can simply be. That simplicity is the foundation of peace. When you keep your joys private, they stay pure. When you keep your struggles private, they lose their power to define you. Privacy allows you to hold your happiness in sacred hands, away from the noise that often tries to steal it. Peace also loves privacy because the human heart needs silence to heal. The more you expose your pain, the more you reopen your wounds. Healing happens quietly, away from the world's gaze. In privacy, you can cry without judgment, pray without interruption, and grow without resistance. You can face your fears honestly and strengthen your faith privately. That's how true peace is built, through moments no one sees. The world glorifies exposure, but real power comes from the unseen work, the silent battles, and the private victories. The most peaceful people aren't those who have nothing going on. They're the ones who've learned how to guard their inner world fiercely. When you embrace privacy, you start valuing solitude. You realize that being alone doesn't mean being lonely. It means being with yourself fully. It's in solitude that you hear your thoughts clearly and reconnect with your purpose. It's where you find God, wisdom, and self-awareness. The reason many people struggle to find peace is because they never give themselves the quiet required to hear their own hearts. Privacy restores that connection. It's a gentle reminder that your mind needs silence just as much as your body needs rest. Without privacy, your peace has nowhere to live. Another reason peace loves privacy is because energy is contagious. When you constantly share your plans, dreams, and feelings with everyone, you allow their energy to interfere with yours. Some will doubt you, others will envy you, and their energy, whether you realize it or not, can affect your path. Privacy shields you from that. It creates a space where your energy stays pure and your intentions remain strong. You don't need everyone's approval to move forward. You just need stillness to stay aligned. That stillness grows in privacy. The quieter your life becomes, the louder your intuition speaks. Privacy also helps you preserve relationships. Not every misunderstanding needs an audience. Not every conflict needs to be discussed publicly. When you handle matters privately, you protect not only your peace, but the dignity of those you care about. You stop feeding drama and start nurturing respect. Relationships built in privacy are stronger because they're rooted in trust, not in validation from others. You learn to live for the moments that are felt deeply, not shared widely. Peace and privacy are inseparable because one sustains the other. Peace fades in the presence of noise, and privacy silences that noise. When you stop letting the world into every corner of your life, you begin to feel lighter. You stop chasing attention and start protecting serenity. You stop performing and start living. Because true peace doesn't need an audience, it only needs space. And that sacred space is found in the quiet shelter of privacy, where your soul finally feels safe enough to rest. Let action speak. Because words are easy, but consistency is rare. In a world full of noise, promises, and performances, actions remain the only true language of character. Anyone can talk about dreams, faith, and love, but very few can live them out. When you let your actions speak, you no longer have to explain your worth, your intentions, or your loyalty. People begin to see who you are through what you do, not what you say. That's the quiet confidence of true strength. It doesn't seek to be heard, it seeks to be shown. You earn respect not through speeches or defenses, but through the integrity of your actions repeated over time. Words may inspire for a moment, but actions build legacies that outlast every conversation. Letting action speak is a discipline of humility and patience. It means you trust the process more than opinions and results more than recognition. You don't waste energy trying to convince people who don't understand you. Instead, you focus on becoming the person your goals require. You rise early, you work quietly, and you let time reveal what words never could. That's the secret of every strong soul. They master the art of silent progress. They don't announce every step, they just move. And when the results finally appear, no explanation is needed. People may have doubted your silence, but they'll never be able to argue with your success. Actions also carry a kind of purity that words often lose. Words can be exaggerated, manipulated, or misunderstood, but actions, they tell the truth. You can say you care, but consistency will prove it. You can say you're changing, but your daily habits will confirm it. You can say you're strong, but your composure in adversity will show it. When your actions align with your words, you become trustworthy. But when your words outpace your actions, people stop listening. The most respected people aren't the loudest. They're the ones whose deeds quietly align with their values. They don't announce their integrity, they live it. There's a spiritual strength in silence and discipline. When you stop talking and start doing, you shift from ego to purpose. You no longer need validation to move forward. You learn that you don't owe explanations to anyone who doesn't walk your path. You understand that progress doesn't need to be performed. It needs to be experienced. Every small step you take in silence builds a foundation of credibility, and that credibility speaks louder than 1,000 promises ever could. People will always remember what you did long after they've forgotten what you said. Letting actions speak also protects your peace. Words often invite conflict, debate, and misunderstanding. But when you let your actions carry your message, there's no room for argument. Silence disarms critics. It confuses those who expect you to defend yourself. You rise above drama not by reacting, but by producing results that make noise for you. This kind of maturity is power. It's the ability to stay calm while your actions do the talking. Every time you choose progress over proving yourself, you grow stronger. Every time you let your work speak instead of your words, you move closer to mastery. Let your life itself be the proof of your values. Let your consistency be your voice. People may not always believe what you say, but they will never forget what you do. Actions reveal authenticity. They expose effort, endurance, and intention. You don't need to announce who you are when your life already shows it. So stop telling the world what you're capable of. Show them through the discipline of your actions. Because when your actions start speaking for you, the world listens differently. It's no longer noise, it's truth. It's no longer a claim, it's proof. And that quiet proof will echo far beyond any words you could ever say. So as you walk away today, remember this: your silence, your privacy, your mystery, your discipline, and your actions are not signs of weakness. They are symbols of wisdom. You don't need to tell the world who you are. Live it quietly and consistently. Protect your peace, value your boundaries, and let your life itself become your loudest testimony. Because in a world that never stops talking, those who move in silence are the ones who truly make an impact.